The Odyssey begins as a story of return, but its world was created by war. Odysseus sails home from Troy through a landscape in which victory has not restored order. Kings have died, households have been destabilized, and the sea has become both a road and a threat. To modern audiences, this world may appear to belong entirely to myth. Yet myth does not float outside time. Behind Homer's poetry stood memories of fortified cities, warrior elites, maritime exchange, and dynastic rivalry. It was a Bronze Age international system that was already approaching catastrophe. The Mycenaean world was not a collection of isolated villages. Palace centers concentrated wealth and administered production. They supported specialized craftsmen and recorded inventories in Linear B, the earliest attested form of Greek. Bronze itself embodied interdependence. Copper and tin often had to travel across considerable distances before they could be combined. Consequently, military power, elite consumption, and political authority depended upon networks that no single kingdom completely controlled. The impressive walls of a citadel represented strength, but the system behind those walls also contained structural vulnerability. The comparison becomes more astonishing when Egypt enters the frame. By the traditional date of Gojoseon's foundation, Egypt had already developed monumental kingship. Egypt had already developed writing, taxation, and large-scale stone construction. The 18th dynasty was one of its later imperial peaks. When the legendary Trojan War was fought, Egyptians were not inventing civilization. They were inheriting, revising, and defending a tradition already ancient to them. Korean historical memory begins differently. According to the traditional chronology, Dangun Wanggeum founded Gojoseon in 2333 BCE. This narrative should neither be mocked as literal fantasy nor mistaken for a contemporary written record. It preserves an encoded memory of migration. The important comparison is not history versus myth. Rather, different societies left records of radically different density. In Korea, the past is compressed into sacred genealogy. Elsewhere, archives allow individual rulers and institutions to emerge with unusual specificity. Around 1200 BCE, many palace societies declined amid a convergence of warfare, migration, internal rebellion, and environmental stress. Most people did not vanish. Instead, the institutions that connected them lost coherence. Administrative writing diminished, and trade contracted. Civilization is a network of trust, communication, and legitimate authority. When enough connections fail simultaneously, even a sophisticated order can become fragile. The traditional age of David and Solomon follows the Trojan War by 2 centuries. In biblical memory, David consolidates political power. Solomon represents centralized rule, monumental building, and wealth. Scholarship must distinguish theological tradition from archaeological inference. As older Bronze Age powers weakened, smaller regional polities acquired space to consolidate. Collapse did not terminate history, it redistributed opportunity. The transition to iron did not occur everywhere at the same moment. Rome eventually combined iron weapons with disciplined armies and law. On the Korean peninsula, the picture also becomes increasingly concrete. Gija Joseon belongs to tradition. Wiman Joseon appears within a clearer documentary setting. Comparative chronology reveals that societies entered literacy and state consolidation through different routes and at different speeds. No one civilization is superior. A leap to the 19th century makes the method unmistakable. Gojong and Emperor Meiji were both born in 1852, ascending their thrones within a few years of each other. They confronted the same expanding Western-dominated international order. Yet Korea lost sovereignty. while Japan constructed a centralized industrial state. Reducing this divergence to a contest between personalities is memorable but inadequate. Japan's transformation depended on Tokugawa-era development. Japan's modernization cannot be described as uncomplicated success. The institutions that enabled independence also enabled colonial expansion and total war. From Troy to Jerusalem, history does not present an identical script. What recurs is a repertoire, ambition without responsibility, and brittle institutions. Historical knowledge does not allow us to predict the future. It trains us to recognize conditions, analogies, and warnings. The historian asks, which institutions are becoming brittle? We study the past not to escape the present, but to perceive it before it becomes irreversible. History gives us the vocabulary for tomorrow's danger.